The terrible treetop. The mysterious forest, which had the sounds of screeching toucans and roaring tigers, the sounds of different animals and reptiles rang out across the muddy paths of the jungle below. The noise was as beautiful as two hummingbirds singing. The majestic trees stood tall and proud, providing a shelter for the reptiles that lived below a canopy of trees. "Who are these white people?" asked Jaguar number 1. "This is massive," exclaimed the Nabe. "I honestly don't know who these are, but I don't like the fact of seeing what he has got in his hand," whispered Jaguar number 2. "But he is chopping down our home," screamed Jaguar number 1. "Let's go then, let's go and explore and find help," exclaimed Jaguar number 2. The two jaguars ran down the leafy path that they had been poisoning their prey on now were determined to find out which tree the Nabe were now cutting. Was it the treetop or was it the kapok tree? We went to find out. The jaguars were running from bush to bush. They had noticed that two strangers stopped at the kapok tree. It was an ancient tree full of stories. This tree had been growing in that spot for years. It had been holding a lifetime of stories about the animals who lived within. Whack, chop, whack, chop. The tree began to shake. The sun's beam was getting hot, trying to make its way onto the floor. The man who was trying to chop down the tree soon grew tired and fell asleep. He dropped his axe and started to snore. The animals watched silently as the jaguars ran up to the man. "I know what has happened. The heat and the hum of our home has lulled to sleep," he shouted. The jaguars went out and crept and crawled up to their secret hideout. They invited all their families and relatives to come because they had bad news to tell everyone. When everyone had arrived, they all chatted about the Nabe and his axe, a tree cutter, trying to chop down their home. They were really confused and started to panic. They were panicking, so the toucan stepped out, saying that they would try. So when they saw the man, they flew down near him. The first toucan swooped down and whispered, "Please don't take away our home." Just before he could move, his brother, the second toucan, silently slipped off the twisted, slimy green vine and fell onto the wood cutter. But it was all right. He had wings and quickly flew back to the hideout where the relatives and families gave him an X-ray to see if he was okay. The animals all chatted together, trying to come up with a plan that would stop their habitat from being destroyed. "I've got it," croaked the frog from the leaf where he had landed. "One by one we can explain to the man many good reasons why he should not chop down our home. Surely if he listens to all our good reasons, then he will stop and walk away." The animals agreed one by one. They made their way through the thick, dense jungle, crawling across the undergrowth, creeping through the bushes, flying high, the different leaves of the great trees. The animals all gave their reasons to each other by speaking. Then suddenly the man woke up. They were shocked, so all went silent as the man woke up. The man woke up. The man did not know what had just happened. He remembered that he was doing his job. He left the jungle in silence. The animals all jumped and cheered around happily. The end.